We're on to our next little bit of information here. So we're going to start getting into a couple of aspects of programming. So what is the program itself is kind of our first question here. Each program is going to be written in a programming language. And it has a series of statements like these. One being x equals 5, another being name equals Alex, or print x, so on. So the computer takes these statements and compiles it into machine language, which is language that the computer itself can understand. It's the series of ones and zeros that actually make the computer, gives the computer a list of instructions that it can use. But this is the human readable language that we're using, and we can write out this program in a human readable way. That being said, we have to be able to get this human readable code into a way where the computer can run it. Luckily for us, and one of the reasons we're using Python is because it's so easy to be able to do just that. There's a couple ways here. We have this file, intro to Python 1, that we want to run. And what it's going to do here that we'll be able to see is print x the first time, add 5 to x, and print x a second time. So there's a couple ways that we can do that. One, the simplest for me, is just go to run, and then hit start debugging here. And see it prints x, which is 5, adds 5, and prints x again. But if you want a couple of other options, Python comes with something called IDLE. And if you open this IDLE program, wherever it is, here we go, you can hit open or even recent files and go here to this intro to Python 1 and click run module, and it just prints just that right there. You can see 5 and 10. Another way is in the terminal. We can go find the directory we're looking for, which in my case it's in the documents folder. And if you're going to be on Windows, so this is going to be the command prompt or command line. You'll look for that in the start menu. You'll find your directory that you're looking for, and then you can just type py intro, and I believe that I can hit, actually I can't, intro to Python -1.py. Depending on your computer, you might have to do something like Python 3. This would work on Windows. It looks like it does not work on Mac in the same way. The third way that you can do this, or the fourth way that you can do this on Windows, again, something that doesn't work on Mac, is you should be able to right-click this file here, and it will have an option that says something along the lines of open with Python. And if you open with Python, then it should run that file the way that we would expect. Anyways, you can choose any of these options to actually run the file. But here I'm going to start explaining what's going on in this file. So this file is just kind of to demonstrate variables. So there's different kinds of variables that you would be using in programming. Here are some of the basic ones. So an integer is just any whole number. It doesn't have dot anything at the end. It's just a whole number that gets represented either negative or positive. So it could be -5, it could be 0, it could be 5, it could be 20, whatever. A floating point number has this dot whatever. It has the decimal, 4.67. or whatever. It can be 200.3. Then we have a Boolean function. This is just true or false. It's as simple as keeping track of whether or not one thing is true or if it's not. Then we have strings. Strings is basically a series of characters that allow us to work with text. Strings are denoted with this. Either here we have quotation marks, or we could also replace these quotation marks with apostrophes, and that should work the exact same. We also have lists, which gives us a series of variables, a list of variables that we can work with. It could be a list of integers, a list of strings, a list of booleans, whatever we would want it to be. And then within the list, you have accessors. So, for example, you have, if you're looking for, this is where it gets interesting. So, the place that the accessor is getting to is offset by 1. So we see here in this list, if you look at this is actually in the 0th position. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3. So here we would actually expect my list at 0 to print out. We would expect that to print out 1. And my list at 3 would actually print out 4. That's stuff that we can get into later. But that's one of the interesting things about lists, is that their index is actually starting at 0. That very first position, the index for it is 0. So then we have here some simple output statements. We have print x, which at this point, x is set up here at 5. So it remembers that x is 5, and it prints it out down here. It prints out 5. Then this is an assignment here. It assigns x to whatever x was, but adding 5. So it takes x plus 5 and assigns x to that amount. And then it prints x again. That's how we got 5 and then 10 to print out. As you can see here below, 5 and 10 get printed out. So here we're going to add something else. What I can do here is actually uncomment this code. Those were comments. You're seeing a lot of these hashtag looking things are actually comments in the code. So that will just get ignored by the compiler, but whoever's reading it can see it so that it knows what this is supposed to be. So this is this right here is a new line character. It just makes it so that in the terminal, it will go to a new line. Otherwise, it would just, if you take it out here, I can show you what happens. Instead of going to a new line, it expects us to type on that same line. And it just pushes everything together, which is just weird. So instead, we're going to add that new line character. And then we're going to run it again. And you see here, this input is actually asking for the user's input. And it assigns X to whatever you type in there. So this within the parentheses, which is the argument that that this function takes, you see type something. That's actually just the text that it'll print out whenever this function runs. So you see type something. I'm going to type whatever, this. And what we'll expect to happen next is for this print to print out you typed : space, and then it'll add to the end of that string the string that you put into the program at this point that's highlighted. So this is called concatenation, when you add one string to another string. So we'll go ahead and hit enter, and it says you typed this, just like that.